section 8.4. This is our last section for the metric system, and I'm on page 462 is where this starts. And now we're going to do conversions that aren't within the metric system, conversions that are outside the metric system and between the metric and the Old English, or any systems actually. This little method called dimensional analysis will work with any type of conversions that you do. There's other methods for doing this, but this is a pretty neat method that I hope you'll like and catch on to, and you'll be able to use it for anything you want to convert. Okay, so it's called, again, dimensional analysis, and we're going to do it by the unit fraction method, unit fractions. So we know unit means one unit, so anything that's equal to 1 in a fraction, so you have two things that are equivalent in the numerator and denominator, so they reduce to 1. We know that if we say 12 divided by 12, that is 1. 65 divided by 65 is 1. Pi divided by pi, if we're going to get weird on that, is 1. Anything divided by itself equals 1, and that's a unit. So we can use that in our conversions, and I've got some conversions here, some statements of truth. We know that a pint is 2 cups. We know that a cup is 8 ounces, some of our Old English measurements. Here's one we all know. 1 year is 365 days. Well, sort of. We got that leap year, but let's just go with 365 days. A mile is 5,280 feet. So if I put any of these statements, like 1 year over 365 days, these are equal measurements, so it's like dividing by itself. This is a unit. Anything with an equal amount on top and bottom equals 1. So that's a unit measure, or a unit fraction. If I say 1 pound, that's an LB, 1 pound over 16 ounces, that should equal 1. And it doesn't matter if I flip it the other way, it's still true. 365 days over 1 year equals 1. Those are like measurements with different units, but it equals 1. They're statements of truth is what I'll kind of call that. So if I say 5280 feet and 1 mile, that equals 1. All right, so that's the idea. That builds on what we're going to do here. So here's a question. How do you convert 30 inches into feet? And again, I know there's other ways to do this, and you've probably learned some tricks to do that. You can just divide by 12, so I know that. But just to get us going with this method, if I want to get 30 inches into feet, and I don't have this statement of truth on my board, but what is true is 12 inches and 1 foot are equivalent measures. So here's how we use the unit fraction. We put 30 inches, whatever we're trying to convert, put that over 1 so it looks like a fraction. And then times it by a statement of truth so that the inches will be diagonal, because we know in fractions when we multiply, diagonals can cancel. So we want inches on the bottom. So I'm going to say 12 inches is 1 foot. That's a statement of truth. And because I am multiplying by a form of 1, I will not change the innate value of what I started with. It's still the same basic value. I'm just converting. It lets me convert. So I've multiplied it by 1, basically. And I multiplied it so that inches is diagonal. You know, I could have flipped it either way and it would have been true. But I wanted inches to cancel. And then I'll be left with feet as my measure. Then 30 times 1 is 30, and it's in feet on the top, and 1 times 12 is 12, and that just helps me know whether to divide or multiply. And so now I know it's 30 divided by 12. Use your calculator. If it wants it as a decimal or a fraction, you know, kind of watch your directions there. And it's 2.5. Now it's converted to feet, and that's the answer we were looking for. And that's the idea for this whole section. You just multiply by some unit fraction, and it converts it out. All right, let's look at example 2. Mexican pesos. And know that whatever's in this book is true to when it was published. It may not be an exact conversion now. You could look that up and get the current conversion factor. But example 2, if you'll read that on page 464, says On February 19, 2010, as of that date, $1 was worth 12.85 Mexican pesos. So that's an equivalent measure on that day that we could use for a conversion. So what is 2,500 pesos in US dollars? So this is one that wouldn't just necessarily be something that you knew every day and like the inches and feet, maybe you devised a plan, but this is where unit fractions can really help you. So we're trying to convert 2,500 pesos, and we want to know how much that is worth in dollars. Change that to dollars. So this method says take what you're trying to convert, so our pesos, put that over 1, and then multiply it by a unit fraction so that pesos will cancel out. If you know the conversion factor, the unit fraction that's a statement of truth, you can multiply it by that. So I want to multiply it so pesos is on the diagonal. So I want pesos on the denominator here. And I look at my book again and find out what it said. It said 12.85 pesos. 12.85 pesos is worth $1, $1 US dollar. So this should be a unit fraction. Those are equivalent or a form of 1, so that's a unit fraction. When I multiply, pesos is diagonal, so the pesos part will cancel out and I'll be left in dollars for my unit. Multiplying across the top, 2,500 times 1 is 2,500, it's in dollars. 1 times 12.85. And then that tells me I've got to do a division. I promise maybe the next example will multiply, but this shows me they're on top of each other as a division, so punch that in. And there we have it, 194.55 to the nearest penny. That's how many dollars 2,500 pesos would be worth at that point. Now sometimes you have to use several unit fractions. There's not a direct conversion maybe available. So we'll do that next in example 3. Example 3, we're going to take 60 miles per hour and we're going to convert that to feet per second. All right, so we've got multiple things to do here. So we got 60 in miles per means divide per hour. And we are going to multiply to get rid of the miles. We want the miles to cancel. We wish it was in feet. So we want miles to be on the diagonal. So let's get rid of that. I do have this one on the board here, 5280 feet. Say that wasn't on there and it had it in yards. I might even have to do more conversions. But I do have feet and miles compared, so that's handy. So 5280 in feet is 1 mile. That's a truth. You could go ahead and get that part done and then do the other conversion, but the book goes ahead and says, let's just go ahead and show it all together. The other thing we want to get rid of is our hours. Diagonal to the hours, you know, you can multiply, you can cross over a fraction even, as long as it's diagonal, you can cancel. So we want hours, and we want to change it into seconds. Now you can do that in a couple of moves. Let's see, the book went ahead and figured out how many seconds is in an hour. We could have converted it to minutes and then tacked on even another one of these, but did go ahead, you could figure that out. You know, there's 60 seconds in every minute, so 60 for every minute, and then there's 60 minutes in every hour. So there's actually, when you multiply that together, there's 3,600 seconds in every hour. So they were able to figure out 3,600 seconds is 1 hour. That is a true statement, so we can figure that out. All right, so now everything's a statement of truth. You know, this is 1, and when we multiply, we can cancel out diagonally, so the hours will cancel. We can cancel out this diagonal, the miles will cancel, and look what's left. We'll have feet per second, the answer they wanted. And then it helps me to know what to multiply and what to divide. I've got 60 on top times 5280 times 1. So I'll multiply that on my calculator. 60 times 5280 is 316800. Then on the bottom I've got a 1, 1, and 3,600. And again, what's left is feet on the top and second on the bottom, so feet per second. Then I need to do the divide here. So divided by 3,600, is 88. So that's 88 in feet per second. So that shows how if you have to do two things. You can do them one at a time, but there the book wanted to demonstrate how you could just make it one long problem if you wanted. All right. Next thing I'd like to show you in the book is on page 465. 465 has a bunch of conversions between the English system and the metric system. Now these aren't perfect conversion, like 1 inch is, it really should have a little squiggly line because it's not a perfect conversion, but it's approximately equal to 2.54 centimeters. Now some books will round to 3 places, some to just 1 place, so you might see differences in charts. Our book is rounded 2 places, it looks like on that. 1 foot is about 30 centimeters. 1 yard is about 0.9 meters. And then there's many, many others. So there's a chart that you'll use for this next few questions. And so now converting between the metric and the English system, let's look at example 4. On example 4, it says a recipe calls for 3.5 cups of chicken broth. So 3.5 cups is an Old English measure. Normally what we do in our recipe books says how many liters is that equal to? So we're converting that to liters. Now I didn't write this one on the board, so again that we might need to look at your little chart and see if there's a conversion between cups and liters. I'm looking through there. I do see like in the third little section down it says 1 cup is 0.24 in liters. So you just look to see if you find something comparing those two, cups and liters. And there is, so I'm able then to say 3.5 cups, and I can put that over 1, times, and I need a statement of truth, and I want to get rid of cups, remember, so I want that diagonal, so I want cups on the bottom, and then I look over here and it says 1 cup is 0.24 in liters. That's a statement of truth or a unit fraction. So now I know to multiply those two. When I multiply, the diagonal units cancel, so cups then cancels like I wanted it to. And then you're left with 3.5 times 0.24. You can do that on your calculator as a fraction or as a decimal. I'm going to do 3.5 times 0.24. That is 0.84, and it's left in liters, and that is my answer for that one. Okay, let's try that again. Let's look at, let's see. I've got time for one more. Okay, example A. It's on page 467. There's a photo. The photo from Italy shows the eggplant costs €2.40 per kilogram. If €1 could be converted to $1.42, determine the cost of the eggplant in US dollars. So kind of pulling out the important information there, it says we've got 2.4 euros. And we're wanting it in, and it's in, we're going to have actually a couple of conversion because that's sold in kilograms. Euros per kilograms. And then we need to figure out what that would be, cost of eggplants in US dollars per pound, converting it to what we're comfortable with. So you can get rid of the euros first, or you can get rid of the kilograms first. And this is sort of like when we did earlier. We got 2 things to take care of. You can do them all at once, which is what the book does. It gets rid of the kilograms. Say, I don't want it in kilograms, I want it in pounds. So I want kilograms to be diagonal. So I got to have some statement of truth that has kilograms, getting rid of kilograms, and trying to get it in pounds. So look through your chart, that special chart I told you on page 465. I'm looking for kilograms and pounds compared. I'm hoping it's directly on there. Sometimes you have to do a medium conversion. Let's see. It is directly on the last little part. It says 1 pound is 0.45 in kilograms. So that's our statement of truth. So we say 0.45 kilograms is 1 pound. That's going to take care of the kilograms canceling. So that's good. But this one we have a secondary problem, which is getting rid of the euros. We want that to be in dollars. So we need to also tag on, or you could do it in this step and do it, you know, as a next thing. Go ahead and do this and then do it next. But in the book, it goes ahead and